Om. Peace. 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 The Katha Upanishad. We are on 2:12. We take these two verses now for the Upanishad telling us about the eligibility of who can attain peace. And everybody's looking for peace, everybody's looking for happiness, and everybody's looking for eternal joy. So the Upanishads.
You just had to speak a little loud.
So here we are, that eternal, it's translated as peace. The original word is sukham, happiness. Eternal happiness is for those and not for others. So there's a sharp distinction made between some and not the others. Who are those who are discriminating or discerning, who are wise rather? The translation would be wise. And who realize in their hearts him or that who, being one, the controller and the inner self of all, makes a single form multifarious, makes one form into many. We also have the question put, how has the one become the many? And it's always found that this has been a kind of a conundrum for people. How can the one become the many? So this verse takes up this question. Eko vashi sarva bhutantaratma ekam rupam bahudaya karoti tamatmastam yenu pashyanti dhira tesham sukham shashvatam netaresham. Echo, whose, we are talking about who? That the Supreme Self, the Supreme Lord. And what is the nature of that Supreme Lord? That Supreme Lord is all pervasive and also not dependent, independent. So, Eko, the one, independent. So, then you say, there's only one, there might be another one, we might ask. We just generally put a question. We might ask, if there's one, there could be another one somewhere else. So the commentator says, and the Upanishad also says, there is none other. Why? Because there is none equal or greater than this one. So there is one. Advaita, as we know, it is one. Now he's saying there is nothing equal to that one or greater than that one or anything lesser than that one. There is only one. And what is the nature of that one, which has been spoken of in the Upanishad as Vashi, the controller? What does that person, when you have a kind of, you have a lordship, that lordship implies control, absolute control. So he is that controller. Now you're saying, if he is that one and he is the controller of what? The next qualification is Sarva Bhutantaratma. He is the inner soul of all. Now when you say that he is the inner soul of all people, means he is that controller, that antaryami. It's called the inner controller. This inner controller. This is that Lord who is one, who is all pervading, and he is within all beings. This is much clearer now. Sarva Bhutantaratma. He is the Atman. He is the self of all. Is that the self only of human beings? No. He is the self of all. There is not only the human beings, we think that we are kind of special. And especially people who take up religious life thinks we are even more special. And those who take up the special side of spiritual life, they also think, oh, we are even more special than the riffraff. And we have this problem always, this idea that we are the special. So the Lord here, the Upanishad says, he is the self of all. And the commentator says, right up from Brahma, right up from the highest, the creator, to the lowest being, to a blade of grass, he is the self of all. So then the next word is ekam rupam bahudaya karoti. And he's saying, makes the one single form multifarious. Makes the one form into many. The one becomes the many. Now, this has been such a highly philosophical point. How can the one become the many? If it's the one will remain the one. If it is one, it will remain through eternity as one. Well, in reality, the Upanishads say, the Vedanta says, it is one, but it appears as the many. And how does this one accomplish the appearance, its appearance as the many? The commentator says there is an inscrutable power, the power of Maya. And this is what makes this one appear as many. Okay. The Upanishad now says, eternal peace is for those and not for others. No. I mean, everybody can come and can come over and attain this eternal peace or eternal happiness, as we have said. But then the qualification is these persons need to be dhira, intelligent. Now, intelligence, not the ordinary intelligence, that's spiritual intelligence. Dhi is actually, the word is the root of buddhi, intelligence. Dhira, one who has that established, that established intelligence in that pure intelligence. And that's why the Gayatri mantra also, Bhur Bhuvasva Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo. May that intelligence of mind be awakened. A person is praying for an awakening of that dhi, that intelligence. carelessness also.
I put it, I was charging. It was charging, I swear.
So let's get back to the Upanishad. The Dhira, who has intelligence, that spiritual intelligence. Shri Ramakrishna says, the crow thinks it's very intelligent, but you know what it eats? All the dirt and the garbage. So that's not intelligence. That worldly intelligence is not what is meant. People with this worldly intelligence, their intelligence is diverted to worldly objects and how to acquire that. This intelligence, dhira, that's what it's saying, it turns within itself. It is called Atma Buddhi. The intelligence that apprehends the self. So, eternal peace is for those with this type of intelligence, spiritual intelligence, and who realize in their hearts. Now, here it is, when the qualification has been made, they realize that in the heart. What? That which is already existing in the heart. Sarva Bhutantaratma, one who exists in all beings. So the intelligent people, they realize that self which is in all beings. Now that self which is in all beings, what does that person realize? The commentator says, this all-pervading Supreme Lord cannot really enter into this heart, into this body. The body is limited and this is unlimited. It's obvious that how can something which is unlimited and infinite enter into something which is finite, which is limited? So, how does it appear? It appears, the first qualification is, appears in the supreme space of the heart. Now, we've been discussing what the heart really is, the spiritual heart. There is a spiritual heart which is like the size of a thumb, and there that Purusha, the supreme self, is reflected in that space. And why is that size of a thumb? Because it is delimited by that space there. It appears like that. For instance, when you watch yourself in the mirror, what you're doing is you're seeing a reflection of yourself. You are actually not in the mirror. But of course, these pseudo hallucinations make you feel you are in the mirror. That's the greatest Maya. But you are not in the mirror. Similarly, that supreme being, which is in all beings, appears in the heart of all. That is the place where you can realize him. That's why it's called Atmastham, one who is established in one's own self. How is that all pervading? It's like this space here, this space here, and there is space within, and there's space here, there, everywhere. Is space really delimited by these objects? No. You remove all these objects, what remains? Space. You remove everything in the universe, what remains? Space. So space is that reality, as it were. So that reality called Atman, that one supreme being, is reflected, as it were, in the cave of your heart, or in the lotus of your heart, in that supreme space there within, like you are, as if the analogy is given, like you look in the mirror and you see yourself. That is what you can see, that reflection. That's the first stage in attaining this supreme being. First, you realize that being within your own heart. And then the next stage is you will realize that being within all hearts. And it's a wonderful kind of experience where you will see the one within the many. And that's why it's saying, when you see all beings in the one, and the one in all beings, that's that supreme state which is spoken of in the Isha Upanishad. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmaneva pashyati sarva bhutani chatmanam tato na vijigupsat. So when you see all the beings in the one, yeah, and the one in all beings, this is the highest state of realization. We are not talking about samadhi. It is like the fruit in the palm of one's hand, directly tangible. It's there. You can see it. You can experience it. This is evidence. So you see all the beings in yourself and yourself in all beings. Yourself? What is the self? In Vedanta, after all the arguments and counter arguments, it is one of the most simplest philosophies or really experiences. It says, put simply, it is the nature of the self of all. What's the nature of the self? It is God. If this can be understood, this is Vedanta. There is no God separate or outside or distinct from the self. God in Vedanta is the self. So when we speak of the self, in other words, we are speaking of God. And what about when you speak about ourselves? Yourself is the self of all. Swami Vivekananda one time, while it was here in the US, I don't remember where exactly, he suddenly stops speaking, puts his hand on his chest and says, I am God. And people were shocked. Yes, this is perfectly in consonance with Vedanta philosophy, but not with other dualistic philosophies. They want a God, a supreme self, or supreme, separate from themselves. They just can't get into their heads the idea that they cannot be two. And then they will make, this is the nature of that, and this is the part of that. But in the highest, you can say, levels of Vedanta, there is one. Eko, there is one. And it is not different from your own self, from your own Atman. If this comes true in our understanding, we become unstoppable. Where is that God? Why are you searching for that God? There's a I think there's a Bible verse or words. Be still and know that you are God. What is that? Be still. Still your mind and know that you are God. This is the highest teaching. At the end of all these kind of searches in temples and synagogues and places of worship in Buddhist temples and Hindu temples and all over the world, we have been searching and weeping and wailing for that God. Where is that God? That God has hidden itself in all beings. Let me illustrate it with a nice kind of story in one of our mythologies. Vishnu, the Lord Vishnu, is the creator of this universe. And creation is a very big business, it's tough.
It's a tough kind of tough work. So after he had created everything in this world, he sees everything is running perfectly. Now he said, let me take a nap. And he took a nap. And as he was taking, like we were discussing that yoga nidra, he takes a sleep of yoga. And as he was taking a nap, his nap was disturbed by a lot of shouting and screaming. Then he focused. What are these people shouting and screaming? There are a lot of people saying, where is he? Who is he? Let's catch him. Let's search him, search him. And they are searching. They are coming towards his heaven, Vaikunta. Say, oh no, I just thought I was having a nice nap. And now these guys are coming to disturb me. So what he does is, he leaves his heaven and he goes down to the bottom of the ocean. Here, there's nobody going to come. And even there we have beings, fishes and this and that saying, where is he? Where's that one? With the guy who has started this whole business of creation. So I say, even here? So he goes to the desert. Here they said there's no one. Even in the desert, he could hear voices, catch that one, we'll get this guy now. So he goes to the top of the mountains. There too also he was disturbed. He goes to the dense forest and the same old thing. So Vishnu, the poor god, is running about now, searching for a place to hide. Just then he sees the divine sage Narada, saying, just a moment, where are you running to? Saying, I'm fleeing these noisy humans. Everyone else is quiet, but there are a few people who are shouting and disturbing my peace. I'm looking for a place to hide. So Narada said, oh, that's easy. I'll tell you what to do, Lord. Saying, go down in their hearts and go and sleep out there. And that's a good idea. And that Lord entered into all beings and he's taking rest. And the people all out, where is he? Where's that God? Let's see that God in that synagogue, that temple, and that mosque, and that church. We have been searching him in the forest, and caves, and temples, and deserts, and oceans. We are searching for that one. That's why the Bhagavad Gita says, Aham Atma Gura Kesha Sarva Bhutasya. I am in all beings in the form of, I'm in a sleep mode. I'm in the sleep mode in all beings. The beings do not know me, that I am there. So we have that one. He's gone down deep into our hearts, and there we are searching for him. It is our nature to search ourselves. And that's the reason why religion should not be confined to something called organized religion. Oh, this is organized religion, science is outside. Oh no, science also is a search for that reality, for the self, the search. Every impulse of the human soul is a search, it's a quest for that reality. It may take the form of religion, and there are many forms of many religions, and each quarreling with each other. Sometimes you wonder, where is that intelligence of these human beings? People are searching in that particular methodology. Let them do it. Somebody else will come, that is wrong. The other guys will say, no, this is wrong. Ours is right. We can't even kind of comprehend this simple fact. Science is the enemy of religion. Who said so? Why is anything the enemy of humankind? Nothing. Everything, every thought, and that's why this impulse is planted very strongly in us, in our hearts. We will search for it. We will come to religion, but not in the form of fanaticism or anything like that. Or kind of, it is that Swami Vivekananda, that's an eternal relationship between the eternal soul and the eternal God. That is that relation we are trying to trace through all our tears and our happiness and our sorrows and misery and joy. We are trying to trace those connections. This is the reality. Swami Vivekananda, he also gives another example. That's another kind of brilliant example. That is, there was a Pied Piper of Hamlin. The Hamlin was you remember there's a small kind of town, village in Germany was Hamlin, and there was a Pied Piper. Oh! And the village had rats, and the rats were a big menace. They didn't know what to do. They gave solutions to eradicate all the rats in the village. None succeeded. They offered prize money also. People came, but they couldn't succeed. So one day a person comes with his flute and he says, I'll rid the village of rats. Oh, sure, you can do it. And what did he plays a tune on his flute, and all the rats, come out. And he keeps on playing the flute, and he leads the whole bunch of rats and goes down to the river, and all the rats drown and die. So the village is free of rats now. They say, where's my prize money? What money? You just played the flute, and the rats, they went and drowned themselves. Okay. Next day, the Pied Piper, he returns. He plays his pipe, he plays his flute. And all the children of the village come out, and they follow him. And he's playing his tune, and all the children are... And the people say, where have you taken our children? What happened? Oh, what children? I just played my flute. What do I know about the children? The same way that the rats followed me, the children followed me. I had nothing to do with it. Then they understood. Whatever they gave. So this idea, we have heard that music. It's there down in our soul. Swami Vivekananda continues. We also heard, come ye that labor and are heavily laden, and I will give you rest. We have heard that voice. As the Gita says, this Maya of mine is difficult to cross. Those who take refuge in me will easily cross this Maya. Daivi hesha gunamayi mama Maya duratya. This Maya of mine is difficult to cross. Those who take refuge in me. So we have heard, the soul has heard that sound of the music, that voice of God. And that is what is drawing us. So here the commentator says, those intelligent ones, dhira, those who have had enough of the external, you can say, world. They have analyzed it and seen there's nothing, that the whole thing is hollow. Life itself appears meaningless without this search. We impute meaning and purpose, we impute values. There's nothing in that. All these values, this is valuable to me, and somebody says that is valuable to me. This is not valuable to me. So it is our subjective ideas of value and meaning and purpose we give. And the intelligent person sees this whole thing is a kind of a sham. It's a big scam played on earth. He will see through things. The idea is you must be able to see through the things. You must see through the surface. And as you get into the heart of the matter, there you find, oh, that's a kind of a delusion. You recoil from those things and renew the search now which is internal, and you keep on. So dhira, the one who is there, one who can discern between what is real and unreal. And that person realizes that self which is in the heart. And what is the nature of that? Being one, the controller and the inner self of all, makes a single form multifarious, makes the one into many. The one appears as many. This is the highest truth spoken of in the Vedanta. He is one, so eternal peace is translated as peace. The eternal happiness is for those and not for others. So the others will keep on being buffeted by likes and dislikes and joys and sorrow. Once you see through them, you begin your search inside. You see that self, yourself, as a self of all. And that self of all is nothing but it is God, that's supreme. The word used is Brahman. But when you use the word God, people have different ideas about God. There are those who are dualist and those who are atheist. They will react differently. There are those who are, they stand midway between dualism and non-dualism, that qualified non-dualism. So the word God sometimes is contentious. Sometimes it becomes, the dispute is kind of layered over it. People have been using this word over and over and over again. Remove of all ideas of what you have imputed, what your culture or your religion has imputed on that word God. And you'll see that is what is called the reality, the real. That is the search, our search. And that search begins within us. So, eternal happiness. The next verse also follows the same pattern. It is actually the very same verse with just a small modification. Eternal peace is for those and not for others who are, the word used is dhira again, discriminating, and who realize in their hearts Him, who being the eternal among the ephemeral, eternal amongst the non-eternal, and the consciousness amongst the conscious, alone dispenses the desired objects to many. So this one, the one being, what is that? You see, in this world, the first thing that we see is this world. At the same time, at the back of your mind, you always know this world is changing, changeable. A few years ago, this wasn't there. It's now there. Where has the old thing gone? It has changed. It is mutable. So, those who are, very short-sighted, they will see this world as permanent and real, and they are searching for real happiness and misery in this world. Nobody searches for misery, but it comes unasked. That's a good thing, of course. Kind of wakes you up. So the more myopic we are, more short-sighted we are, the more we will see this is real. And that's why we think the body is real. But we look in the mirror, that's not me. Yeah, that is you. Yeah, but I wasn't like this. It's now like this now. You see things have been changing and changing, always in a flux. Things have been changing. So this is the perception we have. Those who are slightly discerning will see the changes going on over and over everywhere. But those who see the unchangeable amidst the changes, that is the eternal amongst the non-eternal. These are all non-eternal. If you see the eternal within this and the consciousness amongst all conscious beings. For that person, there is eternal peace. So, where we have been searching, where is peace? Where is peace? Where is peace? Search for peace, search for happiness, and search for joy. That has been the constant, you can say, desire in the human heart. We want peace, and if you give that person peace, well, he won't be able to handle it probably. He'll want something to engage. Eternal peace. I don't know, a long, long time ago, there was a movie, if I'm not mistaken, From Here to Eternity. I don't know, Durga, if you...
Yeah, I think Montgomery was the actor.
Oh, there you are. From Here to Eternity.
Yeah.
So from here to eternity, how do you go from here to eternity? By seeing the eternal amongst non-eternal and seeing consciousness amongst all conscious things. We have a tendency to make us conscious and everything else as unconscious. Trees and plants and birds and animals and insects are, they are to be dispensed with. They are lower things. They can be killed. There we are. That is the most insolent, you can say, attitude that a person can ever have. That we are something better than all these things. And these things are made for all of us, for us. This whole universe, the whole creation was meant for us. Oh, really? We have put ourselves on the pedestal and say, we can kill this and eat, we can kill that and eat, if we get this, we can. And we have been desiccating, we have been destroying this environment. And there's a huge mass extinction going on because of this very attitude of us. We've put ourselves on the pedestal in creation. We know how great we are. There are beings that are greater than us. Well, let's not go into that. But one who sees that consciousness in all conscious beings. All beings have that consciousness. People have been now, they are fundamentalists in religions. They are fundamentalists in science as well. And there are fundamentalists regarding consciousness also. Only, that's all those things are unconscious. Yeah. Once we eradicate these superstitions, we come down, we see that consciousness palpable. Shri Ramakrishna used to see that consciousness wriggling even in a fish. Everywhere was consciousness. He used to see consciousness palpable, pervading everything. So this consciousness, this one, if you see the one in the many, eternal peace is there for you. And what is peace? It's a state of mind. Yeah, it's a state of mind. But as the commentator Shankaracharya says, upashama, withdrawal. Once your senses and your mind have been withdrawn from external things, you enter into the cave of your own heart, you will find peace there. And that peace is equal to that self. That's why the self is called Shantam, Shivam, Advayam in the Upanishad. That self is designated as peace. So we are searching for peace. Find your own Atman. Go and plunge in, and you will get eternal peace. It's not in a place somewhere there or here. It's right here. And the more we can understand this, that the basis and you can say, the basis of peace is withdrawal, and then the experience of that peace is the experience of the self, the Atman. And what does the Upanishad further says? Because it has to, explain the many also. People have been kind of desiring things, wanting things. And that's what life is. And we wonder how things can fall into our lap. They say, where does the lap go when you stand up? So there was no lap. But anyway, we say, we have things coming to us. So there is an ordainer, one who ordains. The Upanishads say, effortlessly. One who ordains effortlessly. What does that one ordain? The results of your actions. Whatever you've desired, desire is also an action. Whatever you desire, that desire is fructified. As you sow, so shall you reap. As you think, so shall you become. As you will think, so will you become. So there's action and reaction. Who is there for that? That Supreme Being. So once you know this, that Supreme Being is the ordainer of all our desires. Your desires will be fulfilled by your desires. Yeah. My desires will be satisfied with my desires. Yeah, the self, because the self is in all. That self knows exactly. He will not give his desires to me and my desires to him. It will create a big turmoil. It will create a big confusion in this world of. Because the creation will go into a kind of a destructive mode. So that's why it is, alone dispenses the desired objects to many. We have been searching and seeking. These are the higher searches and seeking for reality. So you will get, if the moment you start asking about what's a reality, that reality will start now appearing in front of you. And that reality is now going to lead you gradually down the path. The moment you say, I want $1 million, slowly that reality will appear to you as $1 million and lead you towards that path. Exactly it will take. Whatever you desire, that becomes real to you. It's always like that. Everything else is forgotten. This becomes my reality, my world, my life, my goal, my everything. Oh yeah, take it. Then after you get $1 million, then you say, oh, wish I would have asked for 2 million. Well, you could now, and then you do that. And then it becomes, the reality takes that form. Take it. I don't want this. Don't take it. Fine. Come away from it. So they say that we make our own world. Yeah, we make our own reality also. That reality conforms to what you're thinking about it. There are some who like that reality to be a heaven. Yeah, you go to heaven. Yeah, you'll go to heaven. There are some who say you go to hell. The reality will appear to you as hell. Take it. Then, so this is what? The reality that's all-knowing, is supreme, gives you what you want. Yeah. So that's why they say, be careful what you desire. Desire the reality is going to appear to you. It has to, it must. So there you are. In Sri Ramakrishna's life, we saw an intensification of the desire to see the Divine Mother Kali. And she appeared in front of him. He used to day and night weep, saying, are you real? Are you just a stone image? People have said they have seen you. Why don't you talk to me? Why don't you appear to me? And that intensity kept on growing and growing and growing till at one point he said, I can't live like that. The desire to see the Kali became so intense, he didn't want anything. That reality appeared to him as Kali. Not in that particular form first, but as the ocean of light. That's what the reality will do.